Welcome everybody. We have not der Fußkartoffel this time. We got the fam side. We got
I don't want to be here.
me.
Hunter was brought here unconsensually.
I held it at stick
Wow.
point. All right.
Yeah, dude, stick point.
You gotta be careful. Though.
Very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Imagine being held at noose point.
Also, this is we get the face reveal now. Yay!
You know, I want to do a voice reveal on my channel, but I don't know how to do it. I need to upload more to my
I thought
channel.
you
I need to
already
figure out
had
what
a
the hell
Why
to
do I
record.
look like I'm laced up on crack?
I really haven't, though.
Well, either way, we're going to be looking at some conspiracy theories, and we're going to delve right into it. Make sure you subscribe to Wendigoon to see all of his cool content and things. If he sees this video, yo, what's up? Yeah. Anyways, also, we're going to be the first people to actually react to his channel. I've seen no reactions to or at least the conspiracy theory iceberg. I've seen no one react to that. So that's interesting.
Right.
All right,
That's pretty cool.
let's get into it.
Aight, boys. Aight, boys.
All right.
Hello everyone, and we are back for the second half of Tier 4. Also, thanks to you all, I have very recently became monetized, which is insane, and absolutely, it's all thanks to you guys. Thank you for watching. I'm still learning a lot of this whole YouTube thing, so bear with me on that. But thank you guys so much for allowing me to get to that opportunity, and hopefully we just keep going from here. So again, thank you for watching. MIRL cults, the acronym MIRL refers to meet in real life, is in reference to the fact that several online internet cults actually form into real world cults that perform different ritualistic acts or things like that when they meet in person. Every bit of information I could find pointed towards a specific setting in which around the 2010s in Los Angeles there were several murders that occurred, supposedly by an internet cult that started online, but this is just in reference to that idea. The Toronto Protocol is in reference to French documents that were found in 1985. Supposedly this document was a French translation.
Here we go. There we go. MIRL cults, pretty much internet cults that turn into real life cults. That's not much of a conspiracy theory.
That's just
No, that's just life. That's just people being dumb.
Yeah, that's like us.
However, no, not really. We're not a cult. We're just nerds.
Satanic ritual people. You know, normal stuff.
The other thing is, I think the other thing that separates us from a lot of group like us is we're not weebs.
Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah.
Like, I have friend groups like this.
like
They're all
one of us
weebs.
There's like one of us that's a weeb, and that's Dragon.
He's not really a weeb. He's a basic bitch weeb. That's
That's true.
Oh, your video's demonetized now. I apologize, Tono.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
I've been
that's
swearing like 90% of this.
fine. No worries. We might be. No worries. We might be demonetized for an even worse reason, aka Gator.
Reacting.
No, Gator.
Oh
But
yeah, we
anyways.
said Gator. Because Gator was a conspiracy and Gator, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
But
I
this is
love
just
it when you're. Hey, YouTube. Hey, pause it. I have to rant at YouTube for a little bit. Hey, YouTube. Hi. How you doing? So
Mr.
you can.
YouTube.
So, Mr. YouTube, Mr. whatever the hell her name is, that is stupid last name.
Susan
Um,
Wojcicki Gauss.
Yeah, whatever her name is. So, you demonetized a video that could not be. You demonetized a video on a channel that cannot be monetized. I'd like you to explain why the hell that's important. Why do you think you had to go through the effort to do it? I would just really like to know. Why?
Well,
It's worth the warrior, by the way. Go subscribe. But why? Why? There's no point. Just
Wait. What? No point for what?
one of my videos got demonetized. I can't be monetized. I'm not old enough. I probably don't have enough views or whatever.
No. You know,
3 of my videos also got that treatment.
you know what's more stupid? The fact that one of my videos, Avatar: The Last Airbender, got comments taken off of it because there was a child in the video. When I wasn't a child, first of all, And number two, I've had several videos with face cam, and then comments are still up on that one.
I mean,
It's bullshit.
I mean, you look like a 14-year-old
I
when
look,
you're
I
actually
look, li-
18.
I look like a child, and I can fit in
Hunter is
just
legally
fine
an adult.
among like 16.
Hunter is legally an adult, so Hunter, you need to start pumping out that monetization.
I
10-minute
gotta start
videos.
pumping out
Ah.
that
You could get that monetization, dude.
Get that YouTube money. That 3 cents a month really helps.
You know what? Fuck you, Susan Wabjack. You ain't getting these
Wabjack.
nuts.
Alright, let's go back to the actual thing we're supposed to be
You
doing.
are not getting these balls right here because I'm gonna say Gator all I want.
Continuing.
To that.
Putting on to the
Toronto
normal
Protocol is in reference to French documents that were found in 1985. Supposedly, this document was a French translation of a form that was handed out to several different world powers and world elites around the same time. The basis of this document was that in order to pass agendas into society, that they first need to begin by breaking down ideas of family, ideas of tradition, and things such as. One of the main things in the manifesto was destroying religion by indoctrinating communities with the idea that religion is not a good thing and should instead be handed off to governments and things like that to mandate what the people think. Of course, this all relates back to Illuminati, New World Order type stuff, but the reason it's called the Toronto Protocol is because it was originally discovered in Toronto, or by someone in Toronto. The Paris
That's cool. That's just people. The government, there are governments that want to control people, but people don't want to be controlled. And one thing I like about like millennials and our generation is like, less of millennials, our generation,
Stupid.
when something bad happens, we don't shut up about it.
For
We don't suffer in silence. We tell people. We
And
tell
we
people the
make
fact. It gets out
memes.
there. Exactly, but people know about shit that happens. So it's like you can't oppress us because everyone will know, and we'll know that you're doing it. You know what I mean?
real. Also,
And
look at
we'll-
this beautiful poster. It's Vladimir.
Yeah, yeah. But the other thing I was going to say is like, secretly, all people that are 14 want a revolution. You know what I mean? Because that'd just be fun. So
Sounds fun.
yeah, it's not fun. No, it's not. I try.
I
So yeah,
love Molotovs.
I want to make a Molotov. I honestly do. I want to make a like obviously in a safe area, but like I want to make a Molotov and just throw it. Like sounds fun. Like I'll just want to make a giant bonfire and throw a Molotov at it to light it. Like why not, man?
You know how
I mean, the other
people,
thing is
break
it
a
does-
bottle on a ship whenever it's like new and it's about to set sail. It's
To
like
break a
that, except
Molotov?
you created a Molotov and you.
The other thing I was gonna say is it's so easy to like people are like, well, you have to get the right kind of alcohol. You know what I would literally do if it was me?
You just try all of them.
No. I would get a bottle and empty it, any glass bottle, and then I'd fill it with like lighter fluid,
I mean that works too.
and then just do the whole cloth with the light, and then light the cloth, and then eat it.
Yeet.
Okay, let's talk about Vladimir Putin.
Truca
now.
deception, at least I think that's how it's pronounced, is in reference to a new USSR idea that came out of the Cold War. Out of the Cold War, Gorbachev developed this idea of perestroika, which is essentially saying that in order to further progress the communist ideal within Russia, that they need to be more subdued about it and not as gung-ho as they were during the Cold War in trying to push socialist ideas onto others. The idea of the perestroika deception comes from KGB defector Anatoly Golitsyn, which said that perestroika was just a subversion in order to get the world looking away from socialist ideas being implanted into other countries, and instead it would be done slowly through political uprising and behind the scenes movements and things like that. Essentially, the idea that communism is still on the rise, just in a much more subtle and careful way than it was in the Cold War. Presentism is a
Communism. This is communism. Communism will never not
favorite-
exist.
rise,
My-
just in a much
Ah!
more
My favorite conspiracy: communism.
Yeah, communism. There will always be communism because there are always people who want to oppress people.
I mean, like
So-
communism, like the ideals behind communism and that kind of stuff used to be good.
It's the
But people like
execution of
the-
communism. People are you.
people like the
Communism works when you have
USSR
perfect leaders.
Yeah, and the people.
Communism
people
only works.
or not people, but countries like the USSR and China have made it so that communism is now looked down upon, pretty much.
Yeah, but the other thing is, communism isn't bad. It's just that any human put in that situation is going to become corrupt, right?
Yeah,
There is no there is no perfect human. There is no perfect human that's going to distribute wealth equally and not suck up everything themselves. There is
To
no
be
person
fair,
that can do that.
Be fair,
For
the
the
same
execution
thing could
of
be said.
communism.
The same thing could be said for literally fucking anything.
Exactly what Hunter said.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Communism,
The problem
capitalism,
is, but
uh,
capitalism. Here's the difference with capitalism. With capitalism, everyone is free to own their own things and stuff,
Yes.
right? So so they have an ability to push back against that because they have their own things. There's different economic statuses. There's people who have enough power to push back against that. But the problem with communism is that they can make everybody so low class that nobody can do anything about it.
at the same time, the people with capitalism know how to cheat the system and know how to make the most money off of it. By,
Yeah, but
I
it's
suppose
like
being
pick
more.
your poison. Pick your poison, Hunter. Pick
Yeah,
your
it
damn
is
poison.
pick your poison a lot. But they screw up so much more than just like the economic system. Democracy, religion is another big thing. Like Christianity, the original rules of Christianity would be so unbelievably perfect if a billion other people didn't go along just fucking it up.
For real though.
Yeah.
Because
There's a
now
lot. There's a lot. I could rant about how I hate religion.
Stuff that goes into all.
I could rant about how I hate religion sometimes, but I'm not going.
I agree with religion. I don't agree with people in religion.
Yeah.
Or people.
The problem is there is no real way to interpret things such as the Bible. People take what the Bible says and they interpret it to a lesser or greater extent. Right. So like in the Bible, this is really interesting. Exactly. There's this really interesting line in the Bible that drunkenness, not drinking, not the consumption of alcohol, but drunkenness is a sin. Right? I forget which religion, and I'm not gonna say it's Jehovah's Witnesses or something like that. I forget. So it's illegal. So like you can't drink, right? But the Bible doesn't say drinking. It says drunkenness, right? So and then some people interpret that as, oh, you can't get drunk, but they interpret it as you can't drink at all. And some people interpret it as like they just don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
then there's probably other people who do it like correctly.
And another thing,
you can drink. It's just like don't drink too much.
But is that what we'll never know what the other thing. But the other thing is like the whole marriage is like. Do you know where the whole like gay oppression thing comes from with religion? Do you guys know where what line in the Bible that comes from?
No.
What line?
I've never read it.
I haven't read it, but basically it comes from Jesus himself saying, he doesn't say anything about sin or anything. He just says the marriage is a holy matrimony of a man and a woman. That's all. He basically that's when you break it down, that's what he says, right?
Well, yeah, that's because that's all that it was. Every gay interaction was usually sex back then, because there was a lot of gay smashing in Rome. 90% of the sex that went down in Rome was gay sex, and then the other was to have children.
Right, but it wasn't talked about, right?
It wasn't talked about. No, it's changed so fucking much to a point where people follow this rule so much. But the one thing that is written clear in the Bible, which is don't judge, is completely forgotten about 90% of the time. Jesus said, do not judge another individual. Do not cast that stone because you are not free of sin. And that is the only thing that one of the only things that he has said that is completely 100% clear in the Bible, and people forget about it. It's ridiculous.
For real.
Anyways, politics aside, we should probably get back to the conspiracy before we get canceled or something.
We're too
small. Dude, all I have to say is, I'm not saying that religion is bad. I'm not saying that you can't do religion. But I'm saying is, what I'm trying to say is, everything that humans come up with, there will always be a fault. There will always be misinterpretation or corruption. It just happens in everything.
Yeah.
Especially when it's something that can be so easily.
But we're not gonna. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about that everything, and that is exactly why communism fails. To take this back to our original point, that is why communism fails, because it's one of those. Because it is like everything else. It's easy. It's corruptible, but it's easily corruptible and easily taken advantage of. Because what you can do is you can claim that you are following the rules by distributing wealth equally amongst the people, but you can be giving the people barely enough to live, kind of, and then taking all that stuff yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, pick your damn poison. Anyway, let's get back to talking about what we're actually supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And not getting canceled by every person ever.
Presentism is a philosophy very commonly seen in the modern world. It is the idea that people need to be anti-critical about things that happen around them, such as the news, real-world events, and things such as, and should instead focus on the here and now and simply consume media and things like that, rather than thinking about what they're doing. The idea behind it is that New World Order, Illuminati stuff, purposefully injects this into the population to make them more submissive to whatever agendas they try to propagate.
That's the thing. When it comes to news sources, there's so many news sources, and most, if not all of these news sources, are very biased in their opinion, and it's like, it's almost impossible to get away from agendas, because
there is no way.
And if you do your own research, then you'll probably get the best results. But
actually, the best way to get the best result, what I've heard is that, remember when local news was a thing that was owned locally? News is just, here's the facts, here's what happened, here's how it happened, right? And now it's just so political.
Like, YouTubers that also tell the news tend to be more reliable than everyone else's.
You know what's more reliable than that? You know what a lot of the people that I know do? What they do is they look at a couple American news stations. They don't look at European news. They don't look at Chinese news. Right? They look at all the different perspectives that are out there and try and gather that information to see what actually happened.
Yeah. And then you get several different perspectives, and from that you can make your own perspective.
Yeah, you can make your own. I'm sorry, by the way. Hi, I'm sorry. So the camera's there, I'm there, the thing's there. It's like, just not.
So yeah, that's a very interesting one, and probably a debate we could probably go on forever and rant about forever.
Yeah.
Also, Boötes Void, I have a theory about that. I'll say it after.
Bootes Void, or Burt's Void, not sure how to pronounce that. It is a region in space that is 330 million light years in radius. It is also known as the super void, and the reason it's called this, it is a peculiarly large amount of space for so few galaxies. Originally in 1960, it was estimated that only 8 galaxies existed in this entire 330 million wide area. After modern research, it's believed the number is closer to 2,000, but still, that puts it at less than 1/10 of the normal galaxy compaction that occurs throughout space. It raises the question as to why such a wide area of space is completely unpopulated. Some even take this theory to the extent and say that it is because of alien races that colonize and destroy galaxies as they come across from them, and we are simply seeing the aftermath of that. Yellow?
Okay, so here's the thing. One thing that he did not say in the video is that the void is actually very circular and almost perfectly circular. And that plays into my own theory that I made about this, that if the universe is expanding, then there must be a central point to where it started, you know? And since the Boötes Void is also growing in size, what if that's just the center of the universe, and because there's only a set amount of stuffs in the universe, everything is going away from it because of the expansion?
That is a very interesting theory. I'm going to start trying to look at the camera. That's a very interesting theory, but my only issue with that is there would have to be a central mass pushing everything out in theory. Based on the current theory, there'd probably have to be a central mass pushing out on everything. And maybe we haven't identified it, but if there isn't one, then I don't really know how that works.
I mean, there's not a central mass, but the current explanation is pretty much the Big Bang happened, and ever since then, galaxies have been going outwards, and the universe has been expanding, and because of that expansion, it pushes galaxies further. And the only reason that there's all these galaxy clusters and stuff is because of dark matter, which keeps everything together. And also, if my theory were to be correct, that will also mean that the universe is not infinite, which the universe being infinite is the leading theory.
I mean, it could still theoretically be infinite, and that be the very center point.
Well, isn't like the theory of relativity a thing where if you run to if you get to the actual edge of the universe, you just end up on the other side? Like, isn't that how that works, or no? Am I stupid?
You wouldn't be able to get to the end of the universe because it's expanding faster than the speed of light.
Well, yes, but like in theory.
Yes, theoretically. 100% theoretically, like counting to infinity, kind of theoretically.
Yeah, like theoretically, if I go from here to here, and let's say this is the entire universe, I end up back here, right?
Not really. If you were to get outside the universe, you'd be in literal nothingness. Because the universe is just expanding. That's all there is. Unless there's a multiverse, then the universe is just expanding, and there's nothing outside of it. You know.
I think that the way that this works is that then there is a multiverse, but the thing is they're so infinitely far apart that they would still constantly be growing closer and closer together.
If you'd want to get outside the universe, you'd need a fifth dimension. Just saying that.
What was I gonna say? Am I echoing? Am I echoing?
No, you're not echoing.
No.
Okay.
I was about to say, stupid Tono, don't you know from Flat Earth class that Earth is the center of the universe?
Well, okay, but my social studies teacher had a amazing poster on his phone. It says, "The Earth isn't flat," because if it was, cats would have pushed everything off by now.
Yeah.
So, fight me. The Earth isn't flat. One moment, I have an idea.
Yellow Cuban balloons. Let's look at that.
Cuban balloons is in reference to 7 yellow balloons.
That sounds like a lot of mustard gas to me.
Florida. Cuban balloons is in reference to 7 yellow balloons that were found in a box off the coast of Florida in the 1970s. Given the address and the date on the box and the condition of the box itself, it was estimated that these had been floating in the ocean for roughly 8 weeks. The address on this box said that they were from the USSR to Cuba. When opening the box, they discovered 7 identical yellow balloons that were all inflated with what seemed to be normal air lying in the bottom of the box. After doing research on them, there was absolutely nothing weird about the box itself. There was no wrong condition to the gas inside of the box, there was nothing special about the box itself, but for some reason these balloons were just being shipped in a crate to Cuba for seemingly no reason, and why were they floating in the middle of the ocean? It's still one of those old Cold War mysteries that have never been solved, and probably never will.
I have a theory about that, where it's just like they tried to pretty much ship a box by using balloons inside the box, and because balloons are heavier than, or not heavier, but lighter than air, if you have enough of them, you'd be able to lift the box, but that's not how physics works,
So they're trying to test a new...
Yeah.
So, honestly, that's not a terrible thing. They're trying to test a new and more, like, cheaper, more incognito way of shipping things to allies. Is that what you're kind of thinking?
Still neato spaghetti.
It is pretty neato spaghetti.
I didn't understand much of it from what I did understand, it was really fucking cool.
Basically, what I'm thinking is basically what Tono's thinking. Yeah, like just a cheaper, more effective, more secretive way to ship things to allies. But that doesn't really work. Alright, Tono, okay. So while Tono's gone, we ended up your normal broadcast. Give me a second. We have your program for Powerade. Just buy it. It's not a sponsor. It's the unofficial, not really sponsor at all, but kind of sponsor of me and my gaming habits.
Hello,
so,
everybody! Power up with Powerade! Get the run!
Yeah, exactly, dude. Power up with Powerade because it's good for you. Not really. I drink like. I'm like, okay. My main concern is I drink like one of these every day.
Bruh.
Not good. Anyway,
All right.
driver kills JFK. Oh no.
Specifically in mention to William Greer. And while initial reports that came out immediately after John F. Kennedy's murder believed him to be the shooter as he turns back to Kennedy in the Zapruder film before the shot goes out, the actual version of events makes a bit more sense. The driver, William Greer, as well as the passenger in the front seat were both CIA agents, and going into the idea that the CIA murdered Kennedy, things start to add up. For example, why after the first shot was fired did he slow down instead of hitting the gas, driving, turning around, doing anything, but he brought the car down to a 7-mile-an-hour speed? Also, keep in mind, after the first shot went out, him and the guy in the front seat seemed to duck in the picture before he turns around. If William Greer himself did not murder the president, the theory says that he was in the know on the circumstances that would lead to his death. So much so that Jackie, after the fact, said several times how odd it was his driving, and she blames John's death on the actions of William Greer in not reacting fast enough, or not wanting to react fast enough.
That's an interesting.
That is interesting.
Theory. Yeah, I myself am kind of in on the whole CIA killed JFK.
I don't have an opinion. I haven't done research on this topic, but the JFK assassination is one of those things where I'm like,
there's so many theories, and
there's so many theories, and there's not enough. The problem is every piece of evidence contradicts each other, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Every piece of fact that we have, every report that was made, either contradicts each other or doesn't have enough solid evidence for proof.
Yeah. So,
right. Didn't they? What I know is that they reported he was shot from one angle, but his head went in the opposite angle that it would have gone. Right. Like, it's just, there's a lot of little intricacies that make it really hard to determine what actually happened. And that's the thing. And then, like, there's the whole theory that no president ever gets actually assassinated. It's like, so, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're actually still alive.
Oh,
like,
I'll be right back. I forgot to...
Yeah, like, and it's just like, we should care, but not as much as we do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let the past be the past.
Fracking deaths refers to the fact that around fracking instances, there seems to be an uncharacteristically large amount of deaths from consequences of fracking. For example, it's estimated through reports that in Appalachia alone, roughly 1,200 to 4,600 people have been killed by side effects of fracking, i.e. air pollution, water pollution, and things such as. Given the places that these deaths occur, it is believed that the government knows that fracking causes these deaths and are either purposefully doing it in areas they want to exterminate, or at least allowing it to happen to quell the local populace.
That's just dumb.
Disregarding that picture that just popped up on screen just now, first of all, I just don't like fracking in general, but I don't think that conspiracy theory gives me any more reason to hate fracking. Like yes, it causes death and people die from effects of
but that's just that happens with any high pollutant area. The other thing is, like, man, I could rant all day about how clean energy will save the entire effing human race, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, pretty much, fossil fuels bad. Literally everything else good.
It's not that simple. It's not that simple.
I mean, it kind of is.
The main key issue that me and people that I've talked to have come up with is what we need to implement. What we need to implement is not clean energy itself, but a bio tax, right? A tax or a tax based on how much an environment tax, right? An e-tax, a tax that scales on how much damage your product is doing to the environment, right?
You could have, because
once you do that, right, the more damage to the environment your product causes, the more of a tax it has. That means that we will get to a point where it is cheaper to get solar panels than to get gas. Yeah. And it screws up the whole economy for natural gas and fossil fuels. And that's what we need to do. We don't want to, and we don't need to end. We're not gonna cut through the industry instantly to just screw over everyone. That would be stupid.
Yeah.
But what we need to do is minimalize it. So we have to build it up slowly and gradually, and just save the Earth, save ourselves. If you don't care about the Earth, that's fine with me. Think about the human race. Do you want them to prosper? Do you want to? Do you want?
Hunter,
See, this is do you not want you want your grandchildren to be able to live normally?
No, fuck.
And,
everyone else.
and honestly, Hunter, I don't have a debate about you this. If you want the human race to exist, you're gonna have to go to clean energy. That's all.
Either go clean energy or just straight up move to another fucking planet, considering that this planet is very close to death anyways. The sun is
we cannot just do the same vicious cycle, planet after planet after planet after planet, because that will not work.
Of course we can't do that, but my idea is if we move to a new planet, we're going to, by then, at least have somewhat of an idea of how to use, and we could start over. It's very easy to start over than it is to change what we have now.
Isn't as hard as you think.
Especially because we're not even in phase 2 of colonizing Mars, and we're not going back to the moon anytime soon. So it's just like
I think we should. I think we should.
Stopped.
Yeah, we need to colonize the moon first. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Colonizing the moon would be easy, but I don't see the point in that, especially because the sun.
So that you have easier, literally everything. Easier, literally.
Yes,
Dude,
but if
also,
we don't
Hunter, do you not know how
If we don't-
long it will be until the sun explodes? It's not gonna matter, especially in 1,000 or 1,000,000 years. It's not gonna matter until
Yes,
By the
then.
time the
It's going
sun
to be-
explodes, humans will either be dead.
I gotta elaborate. Earth has been here for around 4.5 billion years. Wasting the time to colonize another smaller area for 1,000,000 years and wasting all of the resources when we could be putting resources into colonizing another place that would last a lot longer, it makes a lot more sense to me when it comes to finance and resources.
Bro, you're not
But,
gonna take
Hunter,
1,000,000 years to colonize the moon, especially.
And when I
since we
say
could already
colonize,
do
I
it
don't
now.
mean fully colonize. I don't mean fully colonize. Because you're right. There's no point
You
in
need to
that.
have temporary.
But what I
settlements.
need, not settlements, stations.
Yeah.
How do you get a ship from Earth to Mars? You have a checkpoint. You have a point that astronauts can stay at that isn't the ISS. You have a point where ships can be
That is
refueled
true.
and things can be sent from. Imagine having a advanced station on the moon,
The moon can
right?
pretty much
That can
be a
point in
central
any
hub in order to
that can point in any direction that we needed to, just depending on the time, right? And then it could be a checkpoint. It could send it would have easy access to space resources.
Not only
if
that,
the
but
ISS
it
needs
has
help,
low gravity
like-
and all this other stuff, which makes everything cheaper.
And of course, because it's the moon, you can start having really expensive tourism and stuff. Like, you know what I
And
mean?
you could also
It's-
have resources for nuclear fission.
Also,
Exactly.
when you said we wouldn't take 1,000,000 years to change to that, yeah, I suppose that would be the case. But I'm talking about the amount of if we move there today, right now, we would still only have a much shorter amount of time than the Earth has ever existed. And we would have a much easier time being on Mars. I completely agree that we need a settlement, but I don't think that we need full civilization on the moon just yet.
No, it's pointless. Nobody thinks that.
Yeah, full
Completely pointless,
civilization on the
because-
moon, nah. Central hub
Tourism?
for everything else, yes.
So Central Scientific Tourism not tourism. Central Scientific Station is. Well, I mean, yes, but and then light tourism because that'd just be cool, and a space hotel on the moon. I mean, why not? Let's be honest. Who doesn't want a space hotel on the moon? Anyway, let's talk about Hitlerism.
Esoteric Hitlerism.
I didn't
Esoteric
realize
Hitlerism.
that was the title.
Or at least allowing it to happen to quell the local populace. Esoteric Hitlerism is exactly what it says. It is combining ideas of Hitler from World War II with esotericism, and says that the Third Reich was propagating several sort of universal spiritual ideas in their methodology, and that In the more extreme versions of this, Hitler himself is a form of deity. All the research you do with this leads back to Agartha and Central Earth, and the idea that Hitler essentially raised himself to godhood. Red Room.
All right, that's all we need to hear. That's such a stupid conspiracy theory. Let's go on.
Rooms are the
not a conspiracy, especially because it's not a fucking conspiracy theory. It's
fucking
ideal.
Stupid.
That's technically
It's an
a
ideal.
religion, and I hate it.
Yeah.
And the idea that Hitler essentially raised himself to godhood. Red Rooms are the name given to several dark web pages in which people are either killed or tortured for the enjoyment of others online. A lot of this, as you read into it, gets into human trafficking, and while we know for a fact Red Rooms exist, what makes it even scarier is that all of these people had to come from somewhere, more than likely abduction cases that happen around the US and the rest of the world every year. Plant and
Yeah, that one is really bad.
Not these ones haven't been top tier quality very recently.
That's just... Yeah, there's all kinds of shit.
Yeah. Let's not
Coming
delve
internet.
too deep into this because we don't want to get canceled more than we already are.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, dark web bad, internet can be bad.
Yeah.
I think that I will say
It's
that
okay.
the dark web can be bad. No, the deep web can be bad. The dark web is normally bad. There are bad places on the dark web more than there are on the deep web, but the deep web still has dark places. All of the internet can have a possibility of bad, but only the dark web has a 100% chance of being bad.
And then it's also
Deep web is
government
just
owned,
secret.
so...
Yeah, so if you
Let's keep going.
look for
Let's keep going.
intense,
more conspiracies. So let's just keep
you
going.
look for intense midget porn on the dark web, you're not gonna be very happy, especially because your computer is gonna explode and the government's gonna know you're watching midget porn.
All right, we'll cut that out of the video.
intelligence
I hope
is
so.
in reference to the theory that plants have a higher intelligence than initially thought of by people. What I mean by this is that we understand that plants react to certain stimuli in certain ways, such as trees will grow in the direction of sunlight, or certain mosses will react to being touched, and things such as. It goes into a further level in saying that plants have a version of consciousness that we just don't understand, and the idea that nature is alive in more literal a sense than we normally mean it. Now,
Very plausible. I kind of think that, honestly. I kind of think that a little bit. I'm like, I think there's more to plants than we can conceive ourselves, because we are these animals that use our eyes. We have these outward thinking senses. I think it's possible that plants have a conscience, because they do react very peculiarly for not having brains or organs and stuff. But I think that it's a more inward consciousness. It's a knowledge that you are alive.
Yeah,
You know
to
what
be
I mean?
fair,
It's like level. Okay,
say-
so I watched a video about consciousness from Kurzgesagt. I think that's how you pronounce it. But anyways, they talked about level 1 consciousness, and it's just like, oh, it's where you don't you can't see anything, you can't really interact too much with other stuff. You don't have any really sensory organs, but you can still interact with things, and things can interact with you, and you respond based on those interactions. And that's pretty much where I think plants would be if they had
And
consciousness.
I think they know a little more than we know. Like, we know about
Okay,
They have
them,
level
right? Like,
one
I think,
gotta say,
consciousness.
I
They
think-
go
I think-
towards the
I
food
think-
source, and yeah.
I think that when you touch a tree bark, they might be able to feel it. Do I think they react to it? Maybe not. But I think that plants
Okay.
might be able to feel.
Also,
we
technically,
just touch
people
them.
skin trees.
the way that I like to think about this is trees don't have brains and they don't have organs, but to be fair, they don't have the same the same
different.
genetic cells.
They're
But
completely differently designed.
they're completely different, and it's unfair to trust their existence based off of organs, especially because they're
Off of
completely
our
different.
knowledge of how consciousness works, because they're completely different. Let's go on to whatever the hell we have
we
right
can't tell what the eyes are through a different human being. So what's to say we can't do the same for fucking plants? Like, I can't tell that you are alive other than by your reaction to me.
Exactly.
So why the fuck would it change for plants? You might be able to tell me that you're alive and everything, but there's not a differentiation between that and plants. Just because a plant cannot speak
that
about
nature is alive in more literal a sense than we normally mean it. Now come to talk to you about last Thursdayism, because I promised if this topic was ever covered in the iceberg, I would let them, is my girlfriend and last Thursdayism expert, Kayla.
Hello.
Conspiracy theory. All conspiracy. That's actually a man because all conspiracists don't have girlfriends.
God.
Hello. Last Thursdayism, also known as the Omphalos hypothesis, I don't know how to say that, it's Omphalos, is an idea based around the book of Genesis and creationism that states that when God made the earth, he would have obviously had to make Adam and Eve fully grown with hair, a navel, skin, toenails, and that the grass would have been months old grass at least, and the earth would have been fully formed in a way that made it look 1,000,000 years old. The whole idea of it stems from Philip Henry Goss, who wrote a book with the same name, Omphalos. The natural progression of the idea and where the conspiracy theory comes in is that God or the creator, whatever you believe in, could have done everything as soon as last Thursday, hence last Thursdayism. Which means that we could have been created just as early as last Thursday. Every memory, every thought, everything we ever thought we felt would have been implanted into our brains as early as last Thursday. It's a very interesting theory. It's my favorite one ever because to me it feels like, yeah, that totally could be possible. So,
Thank you, Kayla.
Okay, so I do have a
That
question.
one.
Yeah, I do have a lot of questions on how that one might exist. Okay, so
I'll
before
play the video. You guys just keep talking. I'm gonna skip that ad real quick.
A cosmism is more of an abstract idea.
All right. There
Okay, so basically,
So-
before after the next Thursday, what Thursday does it begin? Are we before that?
Okay, Hunter, you're taking it too literally. But basically, okay, Hunter, the basic idea is that while we think the Earth is 1,000,000 years old, it could have been made last Thursday. It doesn't change. But basically, the idea is there is no, like, while we say that it's
really
13
no
billion.
sense of time.
There is no sense of time. There is no sense of knowing how old things are. We say the universe is 13 billion years old. It could be 2 weeks old. Because if the creator is able to make things that are perceived as older as they are, then what is time? How old is something? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The idea is all our developed beings could have been made last Thursday. But it's not actually last Thursday.
Not actually last Thursday. I was
It's
going
just-
to use last Thursday is like in
But
like,
what
We
yeah.
just used
The
last
idea
Thursday
is,
as an example.
the idea is that there is no perception of time, and that your existence
Could
may
be
not be
created
as deep as you
early
think.
like last Thursday, for example.
Exactly. For example, it could have made last Tuesday, right? But because because the creator is able to make things that have already aged, our perception of it is that it is this old, but it actually isn't.
I was gonna say on the same half though. I was who is to say that right now isn't before that Thursday is what I mean.
That is another good point, right?
Yeah.
What if What if the universe is deleted and then redone because of one simple mistake and we just never know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting
Thank you,
mindset.
Kayla. A cosmism is more of an abstract idea, and it essentially says that
These are
nothing
just
in
idealisms.
reality-
These aren't fucking conspiracy theories.
I mean, the
I like it.
conspiracy is that it is real. So.
The conspiracy that it is real, there are a billion things that are most likely fucking real, and this is probably one of them. If someone has ever had such an ideal before, and the fact that it is a conspiracy proves that someone might have believed, or that someone has believed it at one point in time, which makes it less of a conspiracy and makes it an idealism. These aren't conspiracies. These are ways of thinking about life itself.
is more of an abstract idea, and it essentially says that nothing in reality is real except for God. So what that means in a practical sense is that none of your experiences, none of what you know is reality. Instead, there's just a God or hierarchical being that is implanting these ideas into us. So essentially everything's in a simulation given to us by a deity.
This is just I'll be right back.
This idea is interesting because it talks about the one thing that is true. You. The one thing that is true to oneself is oneself. I do not know that this chair exists. I perceive it to exist. I perceive that it has this texture, and I perceive that I am sitting in it. But I know I exist because I can feel this, not just physical, not just sensory, but I can feel this, energy and like this horny. No, I'm just kidding. This like
take this into such a joke. Man, I really like that gesture you got there.
No. But I can feel this like deep philosophical knowledge that I am real, and that I can feel my arms without touching them. I can feel my head without, seeing it.
Yeah.
So
this
the idea of this one isn't
Cthulhu folk or not. Cthulhu
this one isn't that far fetched, right? It's
one isn't far fetched.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting because nothing. The only thing that is true to oneself is oneself. You feel yourself when you don't. You know what I mean? You feel yourself without perceiving yourself. You know yourself to be true. What I am seeing, reality is whatever my brain perceives. So some god implanting all these like perceptions isn't so far fetched.
No, not at all. Not at all. We use the same argument for the plants. It's more of a trusting, but it's still a trusting that we do that, not a 100% knowledge that we know that these plants have feelings. It's just like we're trusting, which means that we could still not have a 100% certainty that you or I or that you exist from my angle.
Yeah, let's keep going.
And just memories. It's just
Sadly,
it's interesting how these idealisms can fit together.
Sadly, I'm gonna have to go to bed, so we'll make this a part 1 video.
Okay. Should we watch this last little one and then sign off?
I don't have enough time to. So we'll just do an outro.
All right.
So,
we're gonna stop.
Thank you all so much for watching the video. If you liked it, leave a like or dislike, as they both count as likes. Subscribe to Altona for more content like this. Subscribe to Wirt the Warrior.
If you want absolutely no content, and then once, every month, and then it's kind of okay.
And also a face reveal, eventually.
My face reveal is just everything I do on everybody else's channel. I don't know what to record. You know what, guys? Just go to my channel. Go to freaking my comments. I'll check them, I guess, probably. And just tell me what to do, because I don't know what to record.
Yeah.
Go on my latest meme video, and I'll check the comments on that, and just tell me what I should record. And I'll just do it.
Make sure to go to Fam Salad and keep yelling at him to create videos again. And subscribe to
Christina Applegate.
And subscribe to Wendigoon for more conspiracy theory icebergs and weird stuff on his channel as well. It makes check out the original video. Link will be down in description, as well as Wendigoon's link, as well as these two people you can see right over there. And yeah, that'll be it. Closing words, anyone?
You don't actually exist, and I'm the only one that exists because I'm watching this video be recorded. All right, good night, everybody.
My final words are: what if die? But what if die? Good night, everybody.